Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics on a Monday morning in a rather fascinating time in the precious metals and silver world. So hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody is enjoying the morning, most importantly. And with that said, I think it's time for a physical silver market update. Andy Schectman of Miles Franklin. Andy, thanks for checking in real quick here. How are you doing today?
Great to hear your voice, Chris. I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Well, I've been trying to sleep this weekend, although it's kind of hard as I hear these stories of various mints where customers tried to get their metal and they've been told they can't get it or that it was canceled, and I don't know exactly what has been going on, so that's why it's nice to have you here. And what can you share about what you're hearing? What is accurate? What is not?
Yeah, it's a very confusing time, Chris, and the information that we're getting is somewhat contradictory. Contradictory in the respect that different from what we're experiencing to what the people on the ground are experiencing. I guess I'll explain. I do believe that the reporting that you're hearing out of Australia and out of the United Kingdom on many levels is true. I think the people who are trying to buy directly from the UK Mint and from the Perth Mint are having a very difficult time getting product. I do believe that those people who are trying to fabricate their unallocated accounts at the Perth Mint into allocated metal are having a hard time. It's because they're late to the party. And what it appears to me, Chris, is that these two mints are somewhat ignoring the local public at this point in favor of their big wholesale business. We've been able to secure a very large amount of silver kangaroos, 25 to 75,000 at a time. And we've been buying it the whole way up this year, weeks in advance always, but nonetheless, they're taking our order and guaranteeing it, and they have been delivering. At the same time, we're hearing people at the Perth Mint can't even get 2 kilos of silver at the window. The same thing at the Royal Mint in the United Kingdom. We're seeing people's orders being waylaid or canceled at the U.S. Mint, but here again, at the U.S. Mint, these are orders off of usmint.gov. These would be the proof coins and the commercial strike coins that the U.S. Mint sells. In terms of dealing with wholesale, however, the mints have been accepting orders, and even though they're several weeks or months out, they have been taking them, and we have received a ton of silver kangaroos. So from the Perth Mint. So is it true? Yeah, I believe it is. If I would sum it up, it's that they're ignoring the local public in favor of the big wholesale clients. What to me that says though is it doesn't portray well maybe for what's coming. I mean, if it's already difficult for people to go directly to their normal chains of supply at the mint and pick stuff up, if they're already being ignored in favor of big wholesale orders, that has to be placed weeks and weeks and weeks out like we're doing now, which is normally not the case. It tells me that supply is very, very, very tight, and at this point hasn't completely disrupted this industry. It's disrupting the local guy on the street, but it certainly could, Chris. And if you see this kind of stuff happening, which I've never seen, I've never seen the mints turn their back on the local public. And I will say one last thing. Last year, the Perth Mint did the same thing with gold. And Shay Russell from Agora in Australia did an interview with me and told me the exact same thing, that people couldn't get fabricated gold on their Perth Mint unallocated accounts, that they couldn't buy gold at all. And at the same time, we were receiving gold kangaroos, and the Perth Mint was sending kilo bars to the COMEX when they were not delivering small pieces of gold to their local public. So interesting times, that's for darn sure.
Andy, it doesn't sound like the type of thing that would happen if everything was okay, because otherwise why not just return or give people what they think they're getting, or believe have purchased. What else? What could be going? What is there any other explanation other than something is not quite right?
No, and it's not normal. But this is, again, when all the people said don't buy unallocated, buy allocated. This is the reason why. Because when everything is cool and copacetic, unallocated is fine. If you're never going to take possession of your metal, unallocated is fine. And mind you, the unallocated Perth accounts are free storage, free, with a FREE, free. And I've run a storage program at Brinks now for over a decade, and nothing is free. Nothing is free. And when you are doing a free program where storage on however much you want to store at a mint is free, you're getting what you're paying for. And that is when, and one of the things I've always talked about is that if everyone is trying to run out the door at once, do you want to be in the back of that line waiting for fabrication? So no, it isn't all good. And there's no question, Chris, I've been saying guys like you have been opening people's eyes for a while now. And then you get this Reddit group on who's expanding the narrative. People are waking up. And, they published a report the other day, the Wall Street guys did, and showed a whole bunch of places all around the world that are running out of product from the U.S. to Poland and everywhere in between. So it is real. The question is, how real is it? And, a lot of times with the information that we get, it's fragmented, it's little bits and pieces, and then it becomes a reality. But it's the exact same thing that I've been saying to you now, even before it really happened, caught a little heat for it too, for almost a year now, where I said the market would have a hard time finding product. And it's becoming obvious to me for reasons like this. It's like when you see a bunch of little things in and of themselves really don't mean a whole lot, but when you see them continually happening together, where little bits are adding up, can't get your stuff at Perth Mint, can't get your stuff allocated, can't get your stuff at the Royal Mint, U.S. Mint canceling orders, RCM being back-ordered forever, U.S. Mint running out of gold, buffaloes, and eagles in January. It's on and on and on and on. And normally this stuff doesn't happen, if at all, until the very end of the year. The fact that all of this stuff is happening here in the first quarter of 2021, as for the first time really in my career, the expansion into the younger people and just into the mainstream is I think really having an effect on supply. And you can see it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. So things aren't normal, Chris. And I'm not telling people to run out and buy stuff right now because you're not going to get it tomorrow. But I will tell you that I've worked with or around the Perth Mint products for 30 years. This is the first time, last year, 2020, with the gold bars, and now this year, it's the first time I've ever seen or heard this type of information. And when you see it in conjunction with the UK Mint and now the US Mint canceling orders, and all this stuff happening is leading me to believe that this will be a continuing theme on and on and on, because it is not getting any easier. And like I said on last time we talked, just to secure 50,000 silver kangaroos, I had to buy them nearly 3 months in advance. So at the beginning of February, we bought our April delivery of kangaroos, 50,000 of them. But we had to pay 3 months in advance, pay the highest premiums we ever have. And that's the type of business that they seem to be favoring over selling a kilo to the person coming to the window. Now,
and have you received that, or do you know that you're going to receive that?
We haven't received the April shipment yet, but we just received like 65,000 of them last Monday. So we do, and we're expecting more today. So, and that's why I was saying it seems like they're favoring their wholesale business over the public, because we have been getting them. We have not been told otherwise yet. But I will tell you, bottom line is simply this. The information that I'm seeing on a wholesale level is contradictory to what I'm seeing or what is being reported on the street. But I do believe that what is being reported on the street is true. So Why is that happening? That's the question I am not definitive on, other than to surmise that they've chosen to facilitate or to continue to facilitate as much as they can their wholesale business in favor of the small retail business in Australia. But it is interesting that now for over a year that has been what's been going on in Australia, that the people in Australia readily cannot get product, have to wait a long period of time, and yet that hasn't been the experience for me on the wholesale level. In fact, I've been on your show and said Perth Mint has been the savior for Miles Franklin for the last year in product. They literally have been fantastic with product for us, but I've been hearing this going back for a year now, starting with Shay Russell from Agora mentioning that was the case last year with gold, and now this year with silver.
Well, Andy, here's my question. I'm guessing that they didn't tell the people who are trying to get retail silver, and well, maybe that'll be a second question of how accurate those reports are. I don't know yet. Maybe you can substantiate what you've heard or what is still we're unsure about. But if those reports are true, they probably didn't tell those people before the change was made. So is it at least, would you agree that at least on the wholesale level, I mean, hopefully that it arrives, but I mean, they've changed it on the retail level. So at least possible they could say, whether it's next month or next year or whenever at some point, they could say, I mean, they essentially sold you forward that silver that you bought in February for April delivery, and you're counting on their word to deliver it, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. And they can cancel it. I've had that happen.
That was what was also just happening to the retail people as well, right?
Yes. I mean, normally the retail people, the way the stories are written, they go there. There must be like a window or something, a retail counter, and they go there, but they don't have anything. So they're being told that they're long waits. And also people who have unallocated Perth accounts, Perth Mint certificates, the only way to take possession of your metal if it's in an unallocated account is to first fabricate it. And the rumors that I've been seeing, lots of them, people are actually sending me emails, screenshots of their email that basically says, in order to fabricate it, it's a 3-month delay. So that is where it becomes a little bit troubling that, you think you have $1 million worth of metal on a Perth Mint certificate, and the Perth is saying you do, but if you want to actually take it, they have to fabricate it, and you are now at the very back of a line, which could be as long as 3 months or longer to get it. That's where it gets a little frightening for the people who think that they can readily get their metal. They're being shown that they can't.
And in terms of these reports of people being unable to get metal, I've seen it wasn't just Perth Mint. It seemed like a variety of the mints. Do you know how accurate some of these reports are? I'm not belittling any of the reports. We're not clear yet if it's, hey, some guy didn't like the customer service he got and is everyone sensitive and looking for information, or is this legitimate as seems to be spreading across the interweb?
It seems to be legitimate. The folks at Wall Street Silver have been posting screenshots for the last several days. Most of it seems to be stemming from the UK and from Australia. I will say this. I don't believe, that the stuff that they talked about out of the U.S. Mint, to me that is the least substantiated of the three. Because when you buy product off the U.S. Mint website, the usmint.gov, it's very, very different than buying gold and silver eagles from a company like mine or JM Bullion or any of the other precious metals companies. They're night and day. One is a collector type of program offered by the Mint in limited supply. The other is their commercial strike program where they make millions and millions and millions of ounces. So it's different. But I will say this. There have been times where, we have bought large allocations of fractional gold eagles from the U.S. Mint. I can remember one time vividly. And we paid up front months in advance, and we were given most of our money back because there wasn't large enough allocation. So they have the right to do these things if their supply does not meet what they thought it would. But look, I think it's happening because there are lots and lots and lots of reports, none of which center around wholesale. I will say this: I have been told that we would get, 50,000 UK Britannias in 2 weeks, and it ended up being 6 weeks. The mints are inefficient right now. They seem to be in disarray right now. You have to pay much more, much earlier, and cross your fingers and hope that it gets to you. It's a scary environment to start trying to buy large amounts of precious metals. But if you do not do it that way, you'll have nothing. And look around at the online stores. A lot of them you'll see are very low in supply for that reason, in that if you aren't buying way in advance and paying big premiums, as much as 90 days in advance, you're not going to get anything. So it is definitely a leap of faith, I guess you could say, but unfortunately that's just the way that it is. And this is very different, Chris, than the way it was before. Prior to COVID, I would call a distributor, a U.S. Mint or a Canadian or an Australian, and I would place an order, and it would be on a truck within 2 or 3 days, and I'd have it in less than a week. Now we're paying premiums that are 2 to 3 times or 4 what we ever have paid, and doing it 90 days in advance. And that's really the difference on our end of things. So you put it all together, on the wholesale end, you're paying way higher premiums and doing it 90 days instead of immediate. On the retail level, the rumor is they go to the window and they don't have it. On the fabrication, you're going to wait 3-4 months. These are all leading to the same place, and that is a supply chain that is very, very fragile. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. The supply chain is fragile, and you got to really work hard to keep stuff coming in the door, because the public is not selling anything. When you see price drops, that is, and you've done a great job in showing the shorting and what's going on in SLV and all that kind of stuff, that the price drops have absolutely nothing to do with the physical market. Because in 2021, I bet you we haven't done more than a half a dozen buybacks, period, in the whole year. And we've done as much business in the first 3 months of the year as we typically do in a whole calendar year. So demand is crazy, but no one's selling anything. They're all trying to get it. And the mints are doing the best they can to keep up, which is, not that great of a job.
Yeah, well, that does seem to be the case. Although, Andy, one of the requests I get a lot, and fortunately have some good plans, won't get too deep into it, but we are moving forward here, is a physical silver index, because, I get it, we're conditioned to look at the COMEX, yet, I don't know, the spread sits there. It seems kind of irrelevant to me, whatever the COMEX is telling you, if nobody can get metal from there. Although it does seem like people are taking metal out of there, which is another story. But either case, let's say we wanted to have some sort of metric so people could understand what's the price of silver, not COMEX contracts. What would be a good product to look at? Something that is liquid, easily convertible into or out of dollars or Bitcoin or any other currency or product. That maybe the premiums aren't too high. I think you had told me last week, maybe it was the Buffalo rounds, were the lowest silver product at about $4.20 over spot. Is that right?
You just read my mind. It is the 1 ounce silver round is going to be the greatest indication of how much an ounce of silver is. And they're actually probably a little bit higher than that right now, closer to probably $4.89 or so. but yes, that's it. I mean, and now, when you were asking me that question a week or two ago, it kind of went right over my head. How much is the price of silver? What is spot? Price of silver is pretty dang close to $5 over what is quoted on COMEX if you want to buy a 1 ounce piece of metal, period. I mean, it is, that is the pretty darn close. And it's interesting too, because normally you could buy 100-ounce bars for much less than that, but even the 100-ounce bars are right in that same vicinity. I guess on the very, very low end, I'd say $4.50 would be the lowest over the price, the quoted price of silver on COMEX. So I guess you could say silver is over $30 right now, or at $30 would be the absolute lowest price you're going to find anything for, period, in North America.
And again, that's for which product?
A 1 ounce Buffalo Round or even a 100-ounce bar. They're all going to be between $4.50 and $4.80 over the price of silver. And, that would be the cheapest I can find anywhere.
Andy, let's stop using this silly nomenclature over the spot price of silver. I don't care about fraudulent COMEX exchanges that have a history of in the 1980s. What they did was very fraudulent, and maybe nobody else cares, but I do. So I'm not going to propagate that fraudulent activity, certainly not on my show. Can we just talk in terms of a Buffalo Round? If I want to buy or sell them, what are my bid and offer?
All right. Right now, 1 ounce Buffalo Round is going to cost right now, a 1 ounce Buffalo Round is going to cost to buy $29.75. That's even a little higher than I thought it was. Call it $25.70 and $4.89.
29.
And if you're going, $29.79. Yep, $29.69. Oh, I'm sorry, $29.69. I was looking at the wrong one. $29.69. And if you're going to sell, if we were going to buy them back from you, right now they would be, 1 second, and I'll tell you, I got to switch to a different page. 1 ounce Buffalo Round would be $2 over, so that would be $27.70.
Okay. Although, Andy, since I think you're marking this off of that spot price, we won't tell anyone about that. But if you said it was about $4.50 over, and you said that would bring it to $30.20-ish as the offer price, does that sound right? Just want to make sure we have the correct numbers for everybody here.
On the 1 ounce rounds are about 20 cents higher than that. They're going to be a little bit higher. So, but yes, 20 cents higher than that number, but you're right in the same ballpark. On very, very large orders, we'd go down that low. But yes, $29, because, the make-believe number that we're all looking at is right around $25.80. Add $4.70 to that, $4.69 to that number. So $25.80 plus 4.69. $30.49 right now would be the cheapest you'll find a 1 ounce Buffalo Round for in America.
Okay, so so $30.50, let's call it, is the offer, and can you check on that bid again as well?
Yep, $2 over, so $27.70.
All right, so right now the bid on an actual ounce of silver, and again, this is not a firm quote on the air. I don't know how things will change, but Arcadia at Miles Franklin, if you want more information or to get a firm quote, but we'll call it $27.70 is the bid and $30.50 is the offer on the formation of the Arcadia Physical Silver Index. Andy, can we get somehow, figure out a way to get this so we can publish this live on a daily basis?
Yes, I think we probably could. It will take just a little bit of effort, but I love the idea to find a real gauge of the price of silver. You could pick one item or two items and probably do the same thing for gold and get a much more accurate reflection of what gold and silver is. I understand what you're trying to do. The answer is yes. The one thing is that, premiums seem to be changing so rapidly. It's insane. When things were really, really crazy a couple of weeks ago, they were changing all day long, like 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day premiums were changing. So yes, the answer is yes, and I would like to actually work on that because I think it's a really novel idea and a really good one whose time has come, because it's very obvious that the price of silver that is quoted at COMEX is no longer really a true reflection of what it really is.
Well, I agree with that. We'll have to get our legal team involved. Obviously, if we bring transparency like this to the market, we could be the target of a CFTC investigation, but don't worry, we'll be a step ahead. And Andy, thank you for the update today. Before we wrap up, how can folks reach you if they have any questions or if they are looking to buy or sell physical silver or any of the other glorious metals?
Absolutely. They can reach us at Arcadia at Miles Franklin anytime that they'd like. And we are actually running a special, Chris. I'd be happy to extend it to the Arcadia listeners, of course, and that is 2021 silver kangaroos right now are actually $5.39 over the price of silver in any quantity. I do believe that'll be the best price anywhere in the country. And if you're able to pick up a kangaroo for anywhere in the same ballpark as a buffalo round, it's really a good idea, because normally they would have been as much as $2 a piece higher. So Arcadia at Miles Franklin, and $5.39 on silver kangaroos 2021s. Thanks for having me on, Chris. I appreciate it, buddy. It's always good to hear your voice.
Well, thank you. I think everyone's going to appreciate this update, and we'll check back in with you soon.
All right, buddy. Take care.